This is a Memorial Day story, okay? I just want to tell you the story of a friend of mine. In probably late May 1966, I got a job working for the summer. I was actually a high school dropout at the time. You know, I kept getting kicked out of high school, and I'd been working in a restaurant, bussing dishes in a cafe, and I got a chance to get a job for the city of Flagstaff, Arizona for the summer, painting houses in a city housing project called, Brandon Homes is what it was called. And I'm going back to 1966 to remember all this stuff. But on the first day that I showed up at the yard where they kind of got things started every day, they told me there'd be two other guys about my age working with us. I didn't know who they were. So I showed up, I pulled in, I was driving a 1956 Ford Crown Victoria. This is 1966. I pulled in my Vicky, as they call them. And next thing you know, my friend Danny pulls in. Danny pulls in his, I think it was a 1961 MG classic car, and Danny's family had some money. His dad was a medical doctor. I'd known Danny since I was 4 years old, and we ran together. We're good friends, and maybe close to best friends, you know, kind of a deal. Then before long, here pulls another guy in I knew well. I knew him from sports in high school before I got in trouble, got kicked out. I knew him from dances. I knew him from school. Good guy. His name was Dale Crick. Pulled in his 57 Chevy, okay? And I thought to myself, man, this is going to be a good summer. Working with these dudes, they're good guys. I knew them well. And we partied together some, you know. I knew them went to dances on Friday nights with these guys and all that kind of stuff. So we worked through the whole summer painting these houses in Brandon Homes. And good summer, a lot of fun. We'd party at night sometimes. This is BC, before Christ. I don't endorse that, okay? And had a great old time. And Dale's brother was on leave. He was in the Marines, was serving in Viet Nam. He was on leave, and he joined us, and we had big parties all the time. Had an interesting, great summer if you're thinking about it in terms of those days. Then the summer was over. Danny took off and went to California for a couple weeks and came back. Dale had graduated from high school in 1966, was in the class of 66, one of the youngest guys. He was born December 6th, 48. I was born January 3rd, 49. I was almost as old as Dale, but he graduated in 66. And he started college at Northern Arizona University. Good student, good guy all the way around. He was an athlete in high school. Dale played football and track. That's what I played, both of those. And I knew him from all that stuff before I started getting in trouble. Well, on February the 2nd, 1967, Danny drove his car off Oak Creek Canyon, fell 960 feet. They did it on purpose, and was killed. I believe he committed suicide. They did not call it that. I believe that's what happened. And I could tell that story another time, the rest of that. But as time went on, Dale did a couple of years, I think, in college, and he finally came to the point where he couldn't afford it. And so what he did is he volunteered for the draft for the Marines. His dad, his uncle, his brother had all been in the Marines, so he volunteered for the draft for the Marines. And this is in about the same time I enlisted in the Army, because I was getting drafted, so I enlisted probably May of 1968. And Dale had done a couple of years in college, and he finally just gave up and went in the Marines. And I went in the Army about the same time. Dale, now I went through a year of training because I enlisted to copy Russian communication. I went through a year of training, and then Dale went through, you know, the basic training for the Marines, and then went through the advanced training to be a rifleman. You know, he's an infantry type guy, and of course got shipped to Viet Nam. Well, by 1969. I ended up in Germany, okay? And in fact, in late 69, I ended up in Germany. And so I was away. I was in the Army. And On February, I think it was February 2nd, 1969, Dale was in combat in Quang Tri province in Vietnam. He was 20 years old, just had not been 20 for long. And he took a direct hit from a rocket-propelled grenade, and it killed him instantly. And so my friend Dale gave his life for our country. And every time I bump into Memorial Day, I think about Dale. Dale was a good guy, a really good guy. And 58,000 people like him died in Vietnam. The class I would have been in was the class of 67. 5 of those guys from Flagstaff High School died in the class of 67 in Vietnam. Class of 66, Dale's class, 7 died in Vietnam. Vietnam was a mess. It was a tragedy, but those dudes are hero. Here's what the Bible says about that. Greater love has no man than this, that he give his life for his friends. That's what my friend Dale did. Remember his family still. It's been, all 50 some odd years, and I'm sure they still hurt. He had 2 sisters and a brother. I think they're all still living. His parents are gone. But remember those folks, and I'm going to do a prayer time for them too before we're done. Hope you'll remember the people you knew who died for our country on Memorial Day. That's my memory, and that's my Memorial Day story. Bless you. Talk to you soon.